nation and, of course, the future of democracy in Nigeria. Today's discussion actually promises to be quite interesting and insightful, as well as engaging and perhaps a little bit controversial, if you will, as we going to examine one of the emerging political conversations ahead of the 2027 presidential elections. Our topic is 2022 presidential election, Goodluck Jonathan, Turaki led PDP, and matters are rising. And so, as political alignments begin quietly across party lines, questions are already emerging. Is former President Goodluck Jonathan still a viable political force? Can the PDP reinvent itself under the new leadership tendencies? What is the significance of Turaki-led political movements within the opposition, given the recent Supreme Court judgment? And so, just yesterday, the news dominated actually the social media, rightly or wrongly, that the PDP had declared Jonathan, President, former President Jonathan, as the sole candidate for the presidential election in 2027. And many people are like asking, is there still a Turaki-led PDP given the Supreme Court judgment? What is the issue? A lot of questions that have been raised, and that is why we thought this morning that we should actually engage this conversation when it is still hot. This is not vengeance. It's only vengeance to start when it is very cold. This is a political discourse. So this morning, I'm being joined already by Ambrose Iwoke, PhD. He's a veteran, if you will, commentator on national and international affairs. Sometimes he's even a security analyst. So it depends on what topic you have. But importantly, he's the chairman of the Guild of Public Affairs Analysts of Nigeria in the State chapter. So, Doc, good morning. Thanks for joining us on Beyond Headlines.
Thank you. Good morning.
Yeah, reports, like I've staged, indicate that Goodluck Jonathan failed to physically show up to submit a nomination form before the screening announcement. How does an internal committee clear an aspirant who has not publicly declared his intention or validated the faction process? He was not there personally, he did not submit a form. So, how come they say he's been cleared to run? Or is there something you know, may not know, and the public may not know?
In Nigeria, the big maybe they gave him a VIP treatment and decided to screen him in the comfort of his home in Abuja or even a year ago in Bayelsa or anywhere. Nigerian political parties have is replete with proxies coming to pick forms and nomination forms for their principals. So it's not something new. Some of the screening done by the All Progressive Congress is most of them are quietly done behind closed doors. Some other parties decide to do their own openly. So it depends on the methods being adopted by the political party. So they must have done the screening according to their own dictates, and it could have been behind closed door. It can be quietly. But as of picking of form and nomination forms, it's usual most of the times at that level. It's proxies that pick it for the principals. Or in more absurd cases, you see a group of people going to beg the person to come and run, and then they pick a form on his behalf and say, "You are the best thing that have happened after the coming of Jesus. So please come and run." And we have already bought the form. And the person will say, "Oh, because of my people are begging me, I will come." But I think that has stopped a lot. Before it used to be between 1999 and 2011, it used to be the norm. But I think over the years we have outgrown that. And so that's why I don't no longer hear my people are begging me to come and run. But I think it's still cultural that the principals send their proxies to pick a nomination form. So it's not something out of the absurd. It's something that we are used to.
Well, I personally, well, not personally, a lot of people are wondering whether ex-president Goodluck Jonathan genuinely wants to run for the 2027 presidency, or do you think it's just a political placeholder?
This is not the first time President Goodluck Jonathan's name is cropping up. Towards the run on to the 2023 election, his name was, everywhere. At that time, it was for the All Progressive Congress. Um, this time around, it's now for PDP. Now, in analyzing it, there are two schools of thoughts here. The first one is that some powerful northern cabals in the political ecosystem want Jonathan to replace Tinubu for the remaining second tenure of the South. This rotation will do North and South.
Yeah.
That Jonathan could do one term and, succeeding Tinubu. The mathematics is that the South will now do his 8 years, but they don't want Tinubu. Then Jonathan completes that 4 years, since Tinubu will do 4 years. Now, that is their political calculation from some grapevine we have heard. But how one want to believe it, because Jonathan has been tested with one term issue before and they failed. Because when Yaradua died, he did acting president for 2 years. Then he now pleaded that he should do a substantive one term, which they now obliged him. He did one term, and they wanted to run a second term to make it a cumulative of 10 years. And that was where he started having issues. I said, no, you cannot run another. That was not the agreement. So for somebody who has broken an agreement of one tenure, they want. But again, constitutionally, he cannot do more than 2 terms. So maybe that is why those who are pushing him have that trust that whether he wants it or not, the constitution will not allow him to do beyond 2 tenures. So so automatically they want to play safe, according to them, to ensure that this person they are putting cannot even do more than a term. And as against an OB, who constitution empowers to do 2 tenures. So the calculation is if you allow an OB to complete the tenure, to complete the southern tenure, and he promises one tenure, the constitution does not bar him from running 2 terms. They can run as a second term. So the careful calculation in this school of thought in the north is that you cannot back an OB because he still has constitutional right to run second term. But you can back a Jonathan, which constitution does not allow him to run another term after this one single term is going to complete, since he didn't run 2 terms in his first outing. Then there's another second school of thought that is saying that Jonathan may be working as a spoiler for Peter Obi. The calculation, according to that school of thought, is that Tinubu, knowing very well that Peter Obi still has a wave of massive support across, does not want anything to, endanger his chances in any way. That a Jonathan coming from the south that has following also across the country will divide the southern votes as against what Peter Obi will be having. So these are the permutations. So for those who say maybe it's just a placeholder, or let's more succinctly put, is a spoiler for another candidate's chance. So these are the 2 permutations that are out there, and each one resonates with whoever wants to believe in it. But again, I don't know what Jonathan forgot in Aso Rock. According to the wife, in 2022, where the rumors were on that he was trying to contest, and then interviewed Madam President Jonathan, the wife of the President Jonathan, and she said that we have not forgotten anything out of that. She remembered they packed everything and came with. And they don't know why the husband should not she is not interested in going back to that place. One wonders why Goodluck Jonathan wants to do this, if not, again, giving credence to what the second school of thought said, maybe he wants to play a spoiler role.
Okay, you kind of even answered my next question, and that's what many people are wondering. How would this Jonathan relationship with the current APC administration? Because it is known that Jonathan has a fine working, so to speak, at least on the surface value with the president. He's always doing one errand or the other. He's always busy at that sort of. It's not the one kind that is antagonizing the president. So, if it stands an election in the PDP opposition, well, I hope, I don't know, maybe just have that kind of thought that this is not a serious business. But beyond that, do you think that, as we just consider, that Jonathan decides to run, that his candidacy could unite the fractured PDP factions, or will it cause a final split?
Well, by the way, this Turaki, I'm getting confused. Is it the one Wike is back?
No, that's
Oh,
a
okay.
no, Turaki is
So, the
Turaki
calculation.
is the one that had a convention in Ibadan.
Ibadan,
That the
okay.
Supreme Court says.
And then Makinde, who also bankrolled that convention, wants to contest.
Makinde is one leg into APL.
So,
and Bala is also one leg into PRP or something.
So that is very clear. So some people are also arguing that Jonathan is there to bury what is remaining on the Turaki-led faction.
How would he?
Because the other one, Wike, already has it in his hands, and Wike is a Tinubu boy. So there are permutations to say that the other one to not make it at all, to not see the light of day. Let another Tinubu man be planted there, so that they don't even rear their heads at all to want to make any noise.
Would Jonathan allow himself to be a pawn in a chessboard?
Well, for him to picking the form already, so allow himself to be a pawn, because he would have just respected the democratic statesmanship he has been having all over Africa, globally respected, and the rest. He would have just sat down where he was and do his global duties, peace building duties, election monitoring for EU, for AU, for different parts of the ECOWAS and all those things. And so he's already allowing himself to be used in a chess fund game. So tell you whether he'll be allowed, it's nothing. He was also used when he completed his tenure in 2015 to want to run a second tenure, which I think there was a gentleman's agreement that he should not, he should do one term. So some people also used him, and he wanted to go for second term, and that is so. I don't think that he's somebody who has resisted being used in the past.
Okay. Well, the APC already have sent a warning shot, even though it's not yet confirmed that Jonathan is running. And they have warned Nigerians to remember the economic challenges that led to Jonathan's defeat in 2015. So, what do you say to that?
That's a comedy. I think the APC should bring back. Sometimes I usually think that the APC spokespersons, including at the presidential level, do not chew their words thoroughly before they issue these press releases. As I said some time ago, there's a difference between being just a spokesperson and being a manager of communication from that level, that highly placed level. But again, I don't blame some of those people, because let's take Bayo Nonuga for example. Bayo Nonuga, he's not a PR consultant. He's not a communication expert. He's a journalist, and all his life he has practiced journalism. A very, very outstanding journalist. But that is all he knows. So write news, write articles, opinionated ones, and all those things, and then so from I move to magazine and the rest. So that's what he knows. And a journalist writes news, and at most articles. So, but it's not a manager of information in terms of crisis management, reputation management, image management, and all those things. He's not prone to be able to use communication to create goodwill. And that is why every time they sound like an attack dog when they make press releases. Once you are not in alignment with the philosophies or policies or thoughts of their principle, they just attack you and call you also and call you saboteurs. For a statement to come out from the APC to say Jonathan's government that what led to the change, it sounds absurd. Whether the person really chewed his words before he wrote that kind of thing. Because from all economic metrics, from all indicators, this administration in terms of economy is far worse. In fact, it's not comparable to. You can only compare it a little with Buhari, but it's not compared to Jonathan's era. It's a mismatch, and it's just like comparing apples. In fact, not comparing apples and oranges, like comparing apples and stones, because oranges still have some value in terms of what it can give to your body. Is it unemployment? Is it naira dollar, naira forex exchange rate? Is it the cost of living? Is it the price of which we are buying petroleum or gas or electricity or telecoms usage? Is it in terms of real estate explosion, in terms of housing costs? Is it in terms of the disrespect and pariah state we are turning into? Is it in terms of lack of economically serious economic blueprint that we are running? We don't have anything. So we our naira is we are now buying. We will not turn to Zimbabwe where a loaf of bread is costing 1.2 billion something. Their currency. So during Jonathan's time, fuel was 65 naira per liter. And somebody is saying that we should not forget Jonathan's economic. If to buy 65 naira per liter for fuel is the economic situation that led Jonathan, then let's go back to that era because I think it's better for us. Where we had value for what we are, where there were people were, there are a lot of imports. Nigeria as an import dependent economy is suffering right now because your value of naira has collapsed. So you want to import something, and there was a friend of mine who was complaining to his Chinese um, production firm that he was lamenting that the cost is too much. I think something he used to buy $100, and I was okay. So he was not complaining that the price is too much. The Chinese company reminded him that they have not changed price for 10 years. That's still $100. $100 that he was able to pay easily. That was like maybe 150 naira to a dollar, 200 naira to a dollar. Now he has to cough out 1,385, 1,380, one sometimes 1,415. So how does he cope? So I think the APC just thinks that this propaganda thing still works. Now it doesn't work anymore. Nigerians are wiser for it. Nigerians were hooked or something in 2014, 2015, and they say it's changed. When they were demanding for the certificate of Buhari, I remember they said that even if you present the bad bill or tissue paper, that they would take it. So that was how high Nigerians were on hooked on propaganda. But I think the scales are falling off enough. And if the APC has something to say, they should say something deeper. This is too empty.
Okay, it is too empty. But let's just take our minds back to 2015. If you were Jonathan, in 2015, the key actors within the PDP actively worked to defeat Jonathan. Why should the former president trust the same political visionary that previously engineered his exit from power? If he doesn't say there's no problem from there documented.
I think it is unfair to say that the PDP engineered his exit in 2015.
Some of the key actors.
No, I think the Jonathan himself engineered his own exit because as the leader of the party in Nigeria, he didn't play his role well in managing. There were little crises that could be solved. He allowed it to snowball. He caught the bluff of those stakeholders, um, and he started, moving around political non-entities that he surrounded himself with. That led him to even lose some five governors, lose senators. And then instead of it to call for a meeting, trying to assuage their demands or whatever, they called their bluff and told them to go to hell.
And they went to
And
hell.
they went to hell.
And they went to
And they
hell.
brought the demons. And then they sacked you from your heaven. So those are the things. So he was the one that engineered it. And then the you know metaphor of it all, or the height of it all, I would say, is when his own godfather, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, he disregarded him, he insulted him, he allowed his spokespersons to attack him, and at the end of the day, he lost that vital and critical support system, which had shielded him from all this. Because Jonathan was a political neophyte. Jonathan was in his days, he was a professional in his days. He worked at what they call Umpadec those days, Oil Mineral Producing Area Commission, Commission, Company, and then which is now called NDDC. Uh, and I think he was a director, if I'm not mistaken. There. Then also, remember how he came in as a deputy governor
Deputy governor.
to DSP Alemese, and the controversies that led to the impeachment of Alemese. I knew my friends that time in a national TV station that covered the event, and they told me what played out, and that he was not even willing to step into to become governor because of fear and all those things. And it was this people looked at us and said, you are deputy governor, you have to take over. And he took over. And by the time that cycle, he completed that cycle and the election proper wanted to start, he wanted to now contest as governor of Bayelsa State. When Jonathan told, when Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, now, made him what he was. So maybe lack of political experience caused some of these things. I don't know. But again, he miscalculated that time and did not take the party seriously. He did not make efforts. And then there was also some political strategic miscalculation. Um, you are fighting a group of, then he was too fearful of some cabals. Um, every time the cabal, some cabals from some certain part of the country shouts, he becomes afraid. I remember he removing the Festus of the National Population Commission, because some people made some noise that if he doesn't remove him, that's it. And then he was doing all kinds of things. He was too lily livered in many things. Even the appointment of, some people have said you are contesting election, you are appointing the IG, the INEC chairman, the other day. You think of Tinubu does not know what he's doing by strategically aligning some positions to his own part of the country. He knows what he's doing. The same thing with the northern leader. That's what they do. They align these things to their own part. But Jonathan, in his naivety, just was doing things. Here, Jirika wanted to quell something that was happening in the insurgency in the north. Before they know, they said they are killing their people. They will report it to ICC, International Court, to Criminal Justice Court, and he removed him. How many people are really removing? These are your people that are supposed to be your backbone, and you are removing them because of fear. So, for a lot of those political cabals, they don't see him as somebody who has guts. Yeah, and that is why maybe they're trying to bring him and said, when they put him there, as they say that they will be able to back and he will cringe again. But they have looked at someone like Peter B and said, no, this one is a hard nut to crack. They will not try that with him. So I think that is a permutation. But for him, even allowing anybody to buy form for him by proxy of it still goes back to the fact that I don't think he's a man that's really, that is not being pushed around. At this level, I thought by now he should have stood firm, get the respect he had by making that phone call that concede defeat, which is one of the first in Africa, and he's still ringing bells everywhere. I think he should just hang there.
That has
He should not hang there.
That's many mistakes, man.
He should just hang there in that glorified status. But for him, even allowing people to buy form for him. Anyway, maybe after all this, he will come out and say that he didn't send anybody to buy the form. But his silence in the last for 24 hours is also something, that is of concern.
Let me take you back to Jonathan again, because while I was just doing a little research for this program, I stumbled into his famous, what had become his famous Jonathan statement, that his political ambitions are not worth the blood of any Nigerian. And so, with the PDP highly fragmented as it were, and facing multiple legal battles, is he genuinely prepared to enter what promises to be a highly combative, multifactional political war? Has he got the balls to do that?
For all intent and purposes, Jonathan is a friend of Tinubu. So I don't know what kind of combative.
The one in the PDP, both Turaki and.
There's no more combustion in PDP. You are just as I said, the last name. There's Makinde.
But Makinde still is one leg.
So that means he's not strong there anymore.
And then the left Turaki.
At the end of the day, they will abandon the carcass. Because the PDP has, at that level, has become a carcass. Imagine that the Anambra election, a whole PDP in Anambra State. Okay. They were begging people to come and pick form, governorship form. Nobody was picking it. They will reduce it. I think at the point, I don't know whether they gave it out for free. But, People were not picking the phone. So that's how bad the PDP are sucking. Even the governors that were many governors were not having PDP. So it's a pity that such a big party in a matter of 8 years collapsed after they lost power. Just a matter of 8 years collapsed, and they were again. It was not anybody's making; it was their own making. Because one of the biggest things that made them collapse was the giving the presidential tickets to a northerner in 2022, because the turn by turn arrangement and this zonal arrangement that the North and South had, the gentleman's agreement, had been maintained. The Northerner finished 8 years. You added the ticket to another Northerner to do another 8 years. So that made them lose that trust in the South. And that was the beginning of their decline. It's not just giving it to a Southerner. If they have given it to a Southerner by now, you would have known the political tsunami that would have happened in 2023. It would have been a very, very tight race. And PDP, from one intent and purpose, seems to be on intentional self-destruct mode. Intentional. I think they'll just sort it out that we want to destroy this party from within. And they did it, and they have done it successfully. So all those ones, they are just moving around. I think it's also an idea to capture whatever that is remnant of any action and make sure that it suffers a state of inertia and just keep it there so that it doesn't grow.
Okay, one last question on the PDP before I ask you what may be our closing question for the day. As we without considering that PDP loses the 2027 presidential election, you alluded to it, but I wanted it to come very punchy. Do you think that that party risks total collapse or perhaps go into political irrelevance?
Well, I don't. I'm not joining in assuming. I know they will not win. I know the PDP will not win the 2027 presidential election. I don't even know if they will contest. If they will contest, they have tried. In fact, if they contest that election, that means they have tried a lot. The PDP is a dead party. It has lost all the fabrics. It has lost all the elements that made it a vibrant political party. It is a ghost carcass that is just waiting to be buried. I think the problem that the undertakers that are supposed to bury it are just, I'm not sure whether to start work or to tarry a little. I think they're still in the morgue praying that the cops will wake up. That is what is happening now. But that miracle is not going to happen because even those who are supposed to do the CPR, to do the chest compression to make the cops go, are not there. So gradually, the mortuary attendants are leaving also. So if it's not careful, the cops may just remain there. Nothing is happening in PDP. Nothing. PDP has been, cornered. PDP has been demystified. PDP has been killed. PDP is awaiting burial. There's nothing there anymore. So all this noise making is to see how further to, let me tell you, are the vuvuzela of those who are preparing for the burial.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me just ask you this question. Yeah, between Monday and yesterday, of course, the news also came very punchy that former governor of Anambra State, PDP, is now the sole presidential candidate of the NDC. And all things points to PDP purposeful partnership, specifically for the southeast part of Nigeria. What do you think will be the political permutation, even the PDP presidency?
Well, I've always said this. Now, why didn't Kwakwanso agree to this great partnership in 2022?
Time and context.
The context now is more difficult because if he had agreed without being proud, because he made some arrogant statements that time. That Peter Obi should come and learn from him. That who is Peter Obi? That he's had more political sophistication.
He has just chewed his words.
So why will he do that? when he knew it was the storm of the South. So this kind of political arrogance and self-centeredness, that is what has made them lose their chance in 2023. Perhaps Peter would have been president and Kwankwaso would have been vice president if they had that partnership, because Kwankwaso is a formidable force in the north. Now coming now, well, I won't say it's too late, but basically, congratulations to them. One of the things we always say is that the race to any election, there was no primaries. Kenneth Okonkwo predicted it. Kenneth Okonkwo said people realize where they don't have primaries. But that's also a political strategy. Yeah, so it was given to the man. So Peter B has grown politically over the years and has become a very strong political strategist. And he has gotten this. He moved away from the NDC when he knew that they were trying to give it to Atiku. And NDC is now the new force. And the way Nigerian politics turn around in 24 hours is very. At this time last month, NDC was nowhere.
Yes.
All of a sudden, it has become a done. So let democracy win. Let the rule of let us have a very very competitive election. That is what we are praying for.
Okay. This is where we call it today this morning. The Jonathan, the seemingly Jonathan entrance into the political race still shrouded in mystery. It's not yet known. What is obvious is that His Excellency, former Governor of Anambra State, is the sole candidate of the NDC. But perhaps how that will change the face of voting and campaigning in the Southeast remains a question we'll tackle in future conversations. So thank you so very much, Dr. Ambrose Sibuke, for your valuable insights on today's program. And to our esteemed viewers, thank you for staying with us on Beyond the Headlines here on Freedom Square TV. Remember, democracy thrives when the citizens stay informed, when they stay engaged, and when they stay responsible. Join us again tomorrow for yet another intensive conversation on this program. Do have a lovely day ahead of you.